Hello, hello. I'm tagging everybody who's in here. Cause so many of you asked for this training. Hello, if you're just joining, I'm just tagging a bunch of people who might be interested. Hi, Guy, how are you? Don't mind my real up close camera skills. Hi, Rashad, welcome to the party. Hi, Corey. So nice to have you on. It's so nice to have all these people on. A few people said they were coming today, so we'll always wait a second before we jump right in. But everybody, let me know how your day's going so far. I'm great, honestly. We've been crushing it today. Getting stuff done. I just did like a Zoom call training session with one of my clients, which was really, really fun. Yes, I'm excited to talk about this because I think so many people, myself included at different times, have struggled with this. And I think there are a lot of strategies, a lot of practical things you can do to help. So 1 minute in, someone else is jumping on. I see it is hot. You're so right. I haven't been outside too much. I always do a little walk when I first wake up, just because I meditate in the morning. Hi, Jason. Welcome to the party. I do a little walk when I first wake up because I meditate in the morning. And if I don't walk around before I meditate, I fall asleep, and that wasn't necessarily the goal, even though that's relaxing too. Let me know if anybody else has that issue. That's why I'm not a real meditator at night. More people hopping on. Okay, so hi Kenny, welcome to the party. So excited to have you on the live training. So I'm gonna ask again at the end, but go ahead and drop any questions that you might have that you want me to cover at the end of the training here now. And then if stuff comes up, just feel free to ask. I really like, if you haven't been on a live training with me, I hate that I'm the only face on here. I wish that I could see you all. I'm kind of an up close and personal kind of guy. So I love engagement, likes, comments, hearts, all the things. I'm a Cancer. I need attention. What can I say? Just ask my boyfriend. Okay, so today we're talking about managing sugar cravings and sticking to your diet. And the reason that I talked about this is I have such sweet cravings myself. And it was such a thing to where I, like a lot of people who have this problem, I ate really healthy. But then at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I'm craving these sugar things. And so I'm gonna eat a bag of Oreos, or maybe just a whole row, but whatever. So, and you guys were like, yeah, whatever, you're 6'3", you're a bodybuilder, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, too much food is too much food, no matter who you are, no matter what size you are. And honestly, I felt like shit doing that. So first thing that I have to say on this top that is so important is that sugar is not bad. We have to reframe this conversation that a lot of people have with sugar, where they think it's this all or nothing thing. The reality is that all carbohydrates are a form of sugar. And for the majority of my clients, and myself included, 30 to 55% of your diet, so what you're gonna eat, is actually made out of carbohydrates, right? So in a best case scenario, unless you don't eat any carbs at all, you're actually probably gonna eat anywhere to an upper limit of around 150 grams of sugars per day, even if you didn't eat anything else with sugar added into it. So, little complex there. So give me some comments if you guys are following me so far. Does that make sense to you? So first main point, we have to understand sugar's not bad. Too much sugar creates problems, right? Hey, Fernando, welcome to the party. Too much sugar can create problems, but sugar is not bad. Most carbs have sugar. The other thing besides sugar is that's in carbs is fiber. And we actually can't break down fiber. So most people could use more fiber, but the sugar is an important part of this role in the carbohydrate part of the bigger picture of what that we eat, right? So with that being said, hey, Fernando, let's be really practical about it. What would I do and what would I tell my clients if you're a person that's concerned that you are eating too much sugar? How do you determine if you're eating too much sugar? Well, the biggest thing that I would say to start with is awareness. And you're going to notice awareness is a big thing of this conversation that you all and I am going to have today. And that is an ongoing part of diet and exercise lifestyle. So just be aware of how much you're eating. So if you track your meals on something like MyFitnessPal, right, then it'll actually tell you how much sugar you're eating per day, and you can click and see the biggest sources of sugar in your day in your that are sources of sugar in what you eat per day. So let me know if that makes sense. And then once you sort of have this awareness of how much you're eating, you couple that awareness with checking on your energy levels throughout the day, checking on how you feel. And then if you want to bring your doctor into the picture, right? Because I love evidence. Can we be honest about this? Like, give me a like, a heart if you love evidence and you don't like letting your mind play games and tell stories about what's happening and making up fake problems. If that's you, you can bring your doctor into that picture and get your blood sugar measured. And then that's the absolute way to know that between what your daily pattern is and what you're eating, like that you're in a sweet spot. So for me, for example, from doing this process for myself, I tend to eat around 90 to 120 grams of sugar per day. That's mostly because I have maybe a cup, 2.5 cups of fruit, maybe 3 cups of fruit per day, banana, some frozen fruit, a little bit of orange juice. Nothing crazy, right? I'm not adding sugar into my diet. We all should be eating fruit, and it just so happens that that fruit has sugar, as well as fiber, as well as vitamin C, as well as vitamin A, as well as vitamin K, as well as potassium, right? And minerals that are going to add up to good things in our diet. So once we understand that foundation, the next step that I would say to actually help manage your sugar cravings is going to be to increase your daily protein intake, right? And don't worry if you're a vegetarian and you're a vegan and you're watching this training, which, by the way, if you're watching the replay, let me know that your team replay. Those are going to be for people watching later. But yes, increasing your protein intake. So that has multiple benefits, which is why you're going to hear me talk about this concept a lot. Increasing your protein intake is not only going to increase how much energy you burn, right? So the way some people say this is it speeds up your metabolism, but it really is a factor, without going into the nitty gritty, that increases your thermic effect of feeding, which is a fancy way of saying how much energy it takes to break down the food that you eat. So in addition to that, increasing your daily protein intake has shown to increase your feeling of fullness, and it reduces sugar cravings drastically. So on my prep right now, hello if you're just joining or you're popping back on, so my prep right now for my bodybuilding competition, my carbs are actually, they're more than cut in half right now, but I'm still eating about 300 grams of protein a day. Don't do that unless you're a 6'3" bodybuilder and you have the exact same training plan and cardio plan and lifestyle as me, but I have 300 grams of protein per day, and I rarely crave sugar at all right now. I will be honest. So give me some likes, some hearts, some thumbs ups if strategy number 2, increasing your protein intake, makes sense to you, and then ask me questions at any time. Otherwise, I'm moving on. I know there's a delay on the lives a lot of time. I've been given that feedback, so just pop in at any time. The next point that I want to talk about is a great strategy for actually helping combat your sugar cravings is to give yourself a little sugar each day. I know that this sounds counterintuitive for people, but a lot of times what gives people this urge to start this binge purge cycle, which is what can happen with sugar, is when we create these feelings of like a high level of restriction. So really practically and strategically, a solution for your body craving something and not letting it start a toxic pattern is to just give yourself a little bit. So if you're someone who's following the bigger picture, whether that's by tracking your meals or by listening to the hunger cues your body gives you, because by the way, a sugar craving is simply a hunger cue, right? Because sugar, like we talked about, is a carb. And carbs are our primary source of energy. So a sugar craving is really just your body telling you it's craving energy, and then you get to be the person on the other side of that craving who decides what you give it. Does that make sense? So yeah, with that being said, if you understand your whole daily intake, give yourself a little snack. Just like some of my clients, like they'll stick to their diet if as long as they can squeeze in 1 glass of wine a day, or they'll stick to their diet as long as they can have a little half chocolate bar per day. Or for me, I have like 30 grams of Swedish fish after my workout. I love Swedish Fish. Before that, it was Sour Patch Kids. Give me a thumbs up or a heart or a like if you like either Swedish Fish or Sour Patch Kids. But can't have a crap ton of them. But I do need fast digesting carbs after my workout. So those are a great thing. Keeps the cravings at bay. Yes, and I think also too, it gives you something to look forward to if you're really deep in a caloric deficit, right? Which is a fat loss phase, and you need something to look forward to each day, which I know I do. I'll be honest with you. And the last thing is to bring mindfulness into the bigger picture of your daily caloric intake, right? So this really is about being aware of how much you eat, because I'm going to be honest with you, no matter what your goal is, whether that is to lose fat, whether it is to lose weight, whether it is to get stronger, whether it is to build muscle, like there's a recipe that your metabolism is giving you for how much total energy that you need to be taking in to support what you're doing without accumulating an unhealthy amount of excess body fat or creating this drastic energy deficit that doesn't support your overall health, right? So some ways that we can do that, I've said it a few times in this training, right, is by tracking on an app like MyFitnessPal or listening to your body, understanding like based on your hunger cues on a scale of 1 to 10, am I at a 1 where I'm starving or I'm at a 10 where I'm basically full? Like decide where you need to fall on that scale if you're not going to track your meals when you eat anything, as part of the strategy for managing your energy balance. Yeah, so we talked about energy, sugar cravings, or hunger cues. So perfect. Hey, Austin, welcome to the party. One thing that I wanted to add about hunger cravings, right, is another piece of this that's like a bigger picture strategy is if you're a person that notices that maybe you have sugar cravings at a certain time of day, a lot of times that's a sign that the way that you have organized your meals is not supporting your overall, your optimal energy levels for whatever it is that is how your day set up or what you're doing. So there's two big, huge examples that I see happen to this to my clients. So the first is that like maybe there's a time of day where you're eating simple carbs. So we think like either sugary products, stuff like banana, or stuff where you're about to not eat again for a long time. And so your body has this fast blood sugar spike and then it drops. I've been talking for a while, so give me some likes and stuff if what I'm saying makes sense so far. Just so that I know you guys are still alive and I haven't lost you. But yeah, so you get these blood sugar spikes and then it drops. And a simple way to tweak that is to switch a complex carb during that time. So something like a brown rice or oatmeal or like a whole wheat tortilla or something like that, that basically allows your body to break it down slowly. Hey, Joey, so that over a long span of time, your body will have energy. And the other big time that I see people get this wrong, which somebody asked a question about this in the group actually, is your workout nutrition. So especially for a lot of my, the people who identify as male, like on this training right now, you should be having at least 50 grams of simple carbs before you go into your workout. And the chances are that if you are not doing that, right? So for perspective, that's the equivalent of like 2 bananas or 2 cups of orange juice, or maybe like an extra large Rice Krispies bar or something like that, because chances are that your body has to break down either stored muscle glycogen or stored body fat, which are 2 of the least effective processes for supplying you the energy that you need to be successful in your workouts. So if you're sort of having those feelings around that time, a lot of times that's a culprit too. And because of the oxygen deficit, give me some likes if you're still following me, that you create from your workout right after your workout if you don't have fast digestive carbs, aka carb sources that have more sugar. Yeah, it's totally interesting, Austin. More sugar at the end of your workout to help fulfill in the energy deficit that the workout's created, then that could be another culprit of your sugar craving. So that was a big one that I wanted to talk about. Let me know if you guys are having any questions so far, but I think it sounds like from the looks of it, it's connecting a lot of dots for you guys. The last piece that I'm going to say, right, is we're talking about mindfulness. I know this sounds really weird. This is going to sound really woo-woo, right? But sometimes like what I will have clients do is like to build awareness, to dissociate from those sort of cravings. Like I tell people to talk, like identify the part of them that is like having these sugar episodes, these episodes of like really mass eating stuff, and have a conversation with themselves about it, which is just like, so it starts with notice and name, right? So like, if you are always noticing that you're having too much sugar, you have these episodes at the end of it when the whole bag of cookies is already gone, for example, then like start practicing just calling yourself out when it happens. It doesn't have to be mean. It's just, I'm eating a bag of Oreos right now, right? It's just a chance for you to say, oh, I recognize what happened. Because once you've gotten past this point of on autopilot eating cookies or something while you're watching TV, and it's not until the whole bag's gone that you notice, to being like, oh, in the moment, here I am doing something, you can ask yourself the question, is this a choice, right? Because that's what it's really about. Whether your goal is to lose weight, to gain muscle, to keep yourself the same size, or just to feel healthier, like that process is going to involve choices. So we want to make sure that you guys have tools to be present in the moment, to make conscious choices, to either support your goals, or if you're giving yourself some momentary freedom, know that it's a choice for freedom. Does that make sense? And give me some likes if you guys followed all of that so far. Eat so many popsicles in a day, boom, yep, and they're sugary, right? And Austin, you have the same metabolism as me. Welcome to ectomorph life, right? Like our metabolisms are inefficient, so we tend to burn a ton of carbs per day. And I think it's so funny because ectomorphs like have a ton of energy too, and they're always running around, so it like kind of adds to the problem. And then sometimes we avoid eating, and then it comes back and it's all a crazy thing. So anyways, hopefully this training has been helpful for you. I took a picture of someone else's question. So now's the time when I'm going to transition to Q&A. So if you guys have any questions about either anything that I said or anything that's been on your mind or content that you saw on my feed or in this group this week, go ahead and drop them now. And I'm going to pull up some questions that were asked. Yeah, see, and I do that too. And that's the hard thing, Austin, about you and I's body type too, is like we can lose weight really fast, which is for better or for worse. But like if we don't eat consistently, if we forget to eat like just as quickly as that weight comes on, it drops right back off in a heartbeat. Blessing and a curse. But it gives you a great opportunity to learn how to be consistent, right? Someone asked about rest days and the structure in your program. So that's something that's really highly individual. I happen to take 2 rest days a week. So basically I train my whole body through, so it's a breakup of some of my upper body groups one day, Monday, another breakup of my upper body groups Tuesday, another breakup of my and then of just my lower body on Wednesday. Thursday I take a rest day, and then I do just a day for my back on Saturday, and I do the rest of my upper body on Friday. So, and then I take another rest on Sunday. So the way that my workouts are organized, not only am I resting muscles strategically for basically 72 hours at a time, but then I'm giving my full body a rest. But it really is highly variable, and let me know if this is helpful and making sense so far. But because, for example, I've given clients 5-day a week. Hi, Kayla. Welcome to the party. We're on fire right now. We're still going. I've given people 5 days in a row of workouts. And if you organize the individual workouts the right way, for example, hey, Rissa, if you organize the individual workouts the right way, you could train 5 days in a row and every single one of your muscles could still be resting, have 72 hours to rest if you're smart about that programming. So, as far as like the strategy for resting goes, like, yeah, you could make it about the muscles. You could give yourself a whole day. A lot of times it's what's easiest for you. And then the quantity of cardio is highly individual too. I'd be more aware of like what your consistent pattern is, because then you can scale that based on what your goals are and how your metabolism is responding. Checking to see if anyone has questions. We talked about a lot of stuff today, guys. I love your questions. I've loved your engagement. Someone asked, is there a best time of day to do cardio in relation to your strength training workout? So there's without getting into too much of the science, I'll give you the facts. So if we were to prioritize them on a scale of 1 to 3, where 1 was the most optimal and then 3 was like, you got to do what you got to do, right? Because we cannot, like, we are not rats in a lab. Like, we have to live our lives. So nothing is going to work out exactly how some study in some lab should work out. And by the way, humans are terrible control subjects in experiments. So, I'll get right to you, Kayla. Humans are terrible experiments for that. So with that being said, the most optimal time for cardio is at least 2 hours before your workout. If you're going to do strength training, the second most optimal time is going to be probably at the end of your workout, and then the third might be like just some point later in the day. And the biggest things about this is, like, one, I think you have to do what you have to do. Based on your schedule. So a lot of times, like, that's just not what happens, but some factors are to consider: just giving your muscles some time to rest, giving yourself some time to recharge your energy, giving yourself some time for more fuel. And what I will notice when my cardio is too close to my strength training is that my heart rate is higher the whole time that I'm working out. So that's how I'm doing it when I can for prep. But even for prep, like, I run a company, I have a team, I have multiple clients. So, like, sometimes I try to do it 2 hours before my workout, but my high intensity is always right at the end of my strength training. That's how my coach has it for me. But then sometimes the day just gets scheduled to where I just have to fit cardio where it fits. And, I just do my best to make it work. So, Kayla, we covered sugar cravings. Just ask whatever question you have, because different people have been popping on at different times. So whatever you have to ask will, I'm sure, be helpful for everyone. And then I'm going to ask the last question that was already asked so far. While you ask your question. Fasted cardio was a good question. It's kind of like a fasted cardio. Some people are still doing them. Some people believe in it. Well, it just is what it is. I think that fasted cardio, what I will say is, and that, I'm sure that's totally fine, right? I think, like, for what you're doing, I'm sure it's totally fine, Kayla. Fasted cardio, some people believe in it, some people don't. Here's what I'll say is it's more relevant to bodybuilders than it might be to other people specifically, because if your caloric intake, so how much you eat in a day, is hold the same, what the studies have shown, that at least that I have read, is that in the grand scheme of things, it makes no difference. What it does do, however, is change how much fat is on your body at a specific time, and it changes how, like, the way that your body is burning energy around the time that happens. So for someone who's going to be on stage next to someone who is 5% body fat as well. Okay, we're back. So if someone's on stage and they're 5% body fat as well, and they're standing next to you, then the amount of fat you might have on you at a specific time really matters. But for the general population, like, doing fasted cardio is the same as, like, weighing, 202 at 1 p.m. and weighing 200 at 8 a.m. Okay, if you were to go back tomorrow at 1 p.m. again, it'd be 202, and if you were to go back tomorrow at 8 a.m., it'd be 200 pounds. So it's all about the conditions in that context, and not relevant for most people. Let me know if that makes sense so far. Give me some likes, some comments. Does anybody else have any questions? Doing my little dance. Oh, I just wanted to let you guys know too, I'm going to drop in the comments the notes for this training. I wrote out the notes for this training. I was like, I don't have that much to say on this topic. And then my brain was like, brrr. So I'm going to drop those in the comments after I pop off here. If you're a person who likes to see the notes and you just want to review and have it to follow along with. All right, it seems like no one's got any questions, so, which is totally okay. If you have any questions, if they come up later, feel free to comment them here in the group under this thing. It's going to be fine, because I always come back and check these before I plan the next week's live training, so I can get them answered for you next week. And in the meantime, thank you guys all so much for joining me on here. We'll be back every week, so I'd love to see you there. DM me anything that you need as far as specific questions or topics you want to cover in the future. And I look forward to doing this again next week. Have a great day.